Hey y'all, this is Liberated Love Notes, a podcast on Living Corporate Network, hosted by yours truly, Brittany Janay, creator of Liberated Love Notes, critical self-reflections and affirmations for the culture. Y'all already know Liberated Love Notes is your source for weekly doses of self-reflection, affirmation, and reimagining for us by us. Y'all, I've been thinking about this juxtaposition, comparison of surviving and thriving. I have even used it quite a bit myself. This suggestion or call for moving beyond survival, as if simply surviving is not enough, as if the act itself or the act or journey rather of surviving is somehow less than. Certainly, I believe, we all deserve to thrive, I think flourish, grow, to experience the highest form of expressing ourselves truly, wholly. And I don't believe this is some sort of thriving, is some sort of destination or end game. I don't believe, I've come to believe that it is not linear. I don't believe thriving has to happen outside the context of surviving. I don't believe it's an either or. I have evolved in my thinking around this, in part because I fear doing this survive versus thrive dichotomy can create this good, bad, or good, better binary. It can have us qualifying some folks' state of being and living and existing as better than others. I think about the whole conversation around Black excellence. And when we unravel that, when we think critically about how we've defined Black excellence, it has more often than not been associated with standards like one's education or income, monetary gain, occupation, climbing a ladder, mainstream visibility, right? Those standards, too, have also been associated with thriving. And so, what do we lose? What do we lose when our standards of excellence, our standards of thriving push to the margins those with whom we are in community who are doing the damn thing in their own way? Y'all, there's this clip. There's this clip by Toni Morrison that resonates with me so much. She's asked by the interviewer, how can we survive in a world where we are all victims of something? I actually want to see if I can play that for y'all.
How do you survive whole? I can't do this quickly, Juan.
Okay.
How can you survive whole and where we're victims of something? That's a nice, big, fat, Eastern, Western philosophical question about how do you get through. Sometimes you don't survive whole, you just survive in part. But the grandeur of life is that attempt. It's not about that solution. It is about, being as fearless as one can and behaving as beautifully as one can under completely impossible circumstances. It's that makes it elegant. Good is just more interesting, more complex, more demanding. Evil is silly. It may be horrible, but at the same time, it's not a compelling idea. It's predictable. It needs a tuxedo, it needs a headline, it needs blood, it needs fingernails, it needs all that costume in order to get anybody's attention. But the opposite, which is survival, blossoming, endurance, those things are just more compelling intellectually, if not spiritually, and they certainly are spiritually. This is more fascinating job. We are already born. We are going to die. So you have to do something interesting that you respect in between.
Mm. It was something about the call out of survival being deeply spiritual for me, y'all. Our survival is spiritual. It's more than checklists and things we need to do to accomplish this or reach this. It's more than our quest towards ridding ourselves of feelings of not enoughness. It's more than, tell me what I got to do to be this or to be successful, to be excellent. Our survival is our survival is deeply spiritual. It's in us. And that in of itself makes our survival excellent. There's this poem by Audre Lorde I also want to share. She calls it a litany for survival. And in an interview, she refers to it as a litany for survival number 42. She offers the number as a reminder to us that survival is not a one and done, it's not a one time thing. She describes it too as this journey and moreover an ongoing commitment. I'm going to read not just a passage, I think I'm going to read the whole piece here, A Litany for Survival by Audre Lorde. For those of us who live at the shoreline, standing upon the constant edges of decision, crucial and alone, for those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice, who live in doorways, coming and going, in the hours between dawns, looking inward and outward, at once, before and after, seeking a now that can breed futures like bread in our children's mouths so their dreams will not reflect the death of ours. For those of us who were imprinted with fear, like a faint line in the center of our foreheads, learning to be afraid with our mother's milk, for by this weapon, this illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy footed hoped to silence us. For all of us, this instant and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. And when the sun rises, we are afraid it might not remain. When the sun sets, we are afraid it might not rise in the morning. When our stomachs are full, we are afraid of indigestion. When our stomachs are empty, we are afraid we may never eat again. When we are loved, we are afraid love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. Hmm. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. Our survival is deeply spiritual. When I think about the definition of litany, I think about worship, prayer. So even Audre Lorde's language, a litany for survival, prayer, worship, call, divine call. Y'all, our survival is deeply spiritual. Our survival in and of itself is excellence. Hmm. Our survival, our survival is deeply spiritual. Our survival in and of itself is excellence. That's all I got, y'all. I'm gonna catch you next time. Peace.